It's been 56 years, but the wait for a trophy goes on. So often so much hope, so much anticipation for England's stars ahead of international tournaments, and ultimately so much disappointment, although recent times have shown more promise. So can Gareth Southgate's side finally do it?
Hello there and welcome to Football Now from the Al Bayt Stadium, the venue for England's second Group B game when they take on the United States of America as we continue our preview of the top-seeded teams at this year's FIFA World Cup. Now, the Three Lions have come within touching distance of winning some of football's biggest prizes over the last few years. They reached the semi-finals of the World Cup back in Russia in 2018 and, of course, the finals of the Euros last year. But the wait for another trophy continues.
To progress this time, they'll need to finish in the top two in a group that contains Iran, the USA and Wales. Gareth Southgate's team begin their campaign against the Iranians on the second day of the tournament and will hope to have things wrapped up by the time they face Wales on November the 29th.
Well, one man used to winning things is Phil Foden. The Manchester City star is just 22 years old but already has 4 Premier League titles to his name. And he's been back to take that domestic form into the national game in Qatar.
I look at him when he plays for Manchester City, and when he plays, City are at the best, at the very best. And sometimes they're unplayable when he plays. He's an absolute, like I said, he's a genius on the ball. He's England's future. He's England's best player. And because he's a younger player, it will benefit him playing the World Cup in the middle of the season where he hasn't played sort of 60, 70 games over the course of a season for Manchester City and England. Well, hopefully he'll be hitting peak form then. And you'd be thinking, I want to see the best Phil Foden.
Now, this is where England manager Gareth Southgate will be standing when his side kick off against the States. The England manager's role was once described as the second most important and difficult job behind the Prime Minister's. And Southgate's former national teammate Emil Heskey believes he always had the qualities to succeed.
So when I was looking at, and when I remember back at my time there, him and Martin Keown were the ones that looked after the kids, really. And I class myself as the kids. He was the one that was really taking time to sit down with us, talk to us, explain stuff, really integrate us into the larger group. Him and Martin, and you could see why he's gone that far, why people gravitate to him, why the team are doing so well. It's because he's got that man management.
Now, England's pre-match preparations will take place in this rather fancy dressing room. But the big question is, who will force themselves into Gareth Southgate's starting 11 in a few months' time?
Well, we know Gareth is a man that likes what he likes. He doesn't tend to change depending on players' form as well. I think he'll still go with the 5-2-3 that he implemented at the World Cup and the Euros before. I think he'll go with Jordan Pickford in net because he trusts him. I think he'll go with Kyle Walker as part of a back three because I don't think he trusts Maguire implicitly, but he does like the back three cover that Kyle Walker offers. I think he'll go with Reece James right back. It's always that Trent Alexander-Arnold, Reece James debate, but I think he'll go Reece James for his versatility. Luke Shaw, because there's not really anyone else, but he could go Kieran Trippier. I think he'll go Jude Bellingham over Calvin Phillips just because of Phillips's injury problems, and I would like to see Bellingham get the nod, but don't be surprised if Phillips gets in there with Declan Rice. He loves Raheem Sterling, he loves Harry Kane, so I think they'll get the nod. And I just think that Mount hasn't been on form for the past few months, maybe even the past year, and I think he will go with Phil Foden, who's been playing really well for Manchester City. So I can see that being the team. I think it'll be that front three of Foden, Sterling, and of course Harry Kane, who is England's best striker by a mile. And it's all up for grabs and who gets the other places in the squad.
Time now to hear from a man who played against England at the World Cup back in 2010.
It's going to be interesting to see how those games are different. That game was, I guess, 12 years ago now, and how the two countries have evolved, more so how the Americans, how we've evolved in a soccer sense and a football sense. In my opinion, over the last few years, what England have become under Gareth has been really impressive. They don't look like a typical English team that I saw in the past. They just look more comfortable and confident and willing to take risks and not worry about the media and the pressure, etc. So it should make for a really good game.
I think we could actually probably win the whole of the World Cup. Just a very young side, so there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to get into the final and win it.
We look at how well we performed the last tournament, Euros. Yeah, we lost, but it was luck straight up. And then you look at how the women did in the Euro. It's got to be ours this year, man. It's ours, definitely.
I think there's just like a bit of a buzz, and the fact we live in Qatar, we're just really hopeful that we're going to get a little bit further because we're here and we're watching them. So yeah, we're excited for it, and we're just hoping that we'll get a bit further than what we normally would.
I think because we have such a young team, don't we? They're strong. So obviously at the Euros last year, some of them hadn't played major tournaments like that, where now they have. So hopefully that'll be there, that'll build some momentum for them. They've got experience, they'll be more confident, so hopefully they'll bring it home.
I think we can probably make the semis, if not the final this year. I'm really eager to see them in the final.
Come on, England! Well, that is it from the Al Bayt Stadium. Plenty more World Cup content coming your way over the next few months or so. Do let us know your thoughts at home using the hashtag FootballNowEngland, and we'll see you soon for more. Football Now!